Officer Tatum is the definition of going out sad. Not only is his career and reputation falling apart in real time, but he's basically becoming the internet's new punching bag on both political sides. Which to me just comes off like poetic justice, because he's now getting clowned by the same MAGA racists that he was caping for.
He's a fucking idiot. Brandon Tatum is an idiot. Dumbest person I've ever heard.
Not to mention, he keeps exposing himself as a massive hypocrite with embarrassing takes like this.
I would never cry in front of my wife.
Really?
I just would.
Only to turn around and cry for a white racist that attacked the black community.
I'm very angry because you don't get your lick back.
Which led to Alba and Preach roasting him and then him turning around and crashing out about it.
I have lost all respect for Alba and Preach.
Basically proving every single point they made about him is true.
Can you believe that they laughed at the death of a nurse? Nurse is so good to me.
And I really think all of this together puts the nail in the coffin for Officer Tatum, which is good because this dork says stuff like this.
When you think about Rosa Parks and what she did, and everybody thinks she's so heroic, do you know Rosa Parks had a car?
Now, I know this channel is super entertaining, but for all the times you get bored, there's a game you can play and get paid for. If you check out the link in the description or scan the QR code, you can sign up for freecash.com and start right away. It's simple, and it only takes a few seconds to create an account with your email and password. Inside, you'll see a wall of games and offers. Pick one you actually enjoy, play through the levels, and the cash lands straight into your free cash account. That's how some users are earning hundreds of dollars on certain offers. And you don't even have to spend anything. Just stick to the free levels and cash out. The whole point is, instead of sitting there scrolling like we all do, you can play games and earn money at the same time. And when it's time to cash out, you got options, PayPal or gift cards. So if you're curious, hit the link in the description or scan the QR code. Sign up free and start playing for cash in your spare time. And when you use my link or QR code, you get a $5 bonus to kick things off. But I'm Jew, welcome to the channel. Please like and share the video. Don't forget to sub. Now, let's get into it.
Officer Tatum and his opinions on men crying. Let me make sure I know exact. 2 years ago about men crying, he said some interesting things. So why don't we just take a look at that together?
I would say that a lot of women are going to lose attraction for you if you cry in front of them. Weak men are viewed as unattractive. And you can make the argument that crying can be viewed as a weakness.
These podcasts seem so incredibly boring and tired and redundant and lame. Everybody there just looks dead in the eyes.
Men should not show all of their emotions to women, because women judge men very harshly on that.
As a man, if he would have stopped right there, men shouldn't show all of their emotions to a woman. Cool, completely understand. I don't even think he's wrong about that. This isn't all women, but there are some arguments that a man will get in with a woman where they will use whatever stuff he tells them as ammunition in the argument right away. That does actually happen. So if he would have stopped there, added context to it, cool, I completely agree. But what he goes on to say is insane.
I would never cry in front of my wife.
Really?
I just wouldn't.
What if your kid died?
That's a different thing. I mean, I would try not to cry in front of my wife if my kid died. I'm her foundation.
If you're married and you're going through something, you should have a safe space and be able to cry in front of your wife. Otherwise, why be married to that person?
I'm her strong point. I'll cry on my own, but if everything is going south, I want my wife to know I'm strong in that situation. I heard a guy say this, is that when my father passes away, which everybody's parent is gonna pass away, I'm not gonna cry at his funeral. I don't want to cry at his funeral. I want my father to know that I'm strong enough to stand up and have this conversation. I've compartmentalized what has happened.
Crying or having emotions, especially at a funeral of your parent or your child, does not make you less of a man or weak. It actually makes you weak to be concerned of how everybody is looking at you while you're going through a traumatic experience. Not crying when your kid dies or at your father's funeral, if you had a relationship with your father, is insane.
I'm very angry because
he said all that about not crying if his kid died, not crying in front of his wife, not crying at his father's funeral because he wants his father to know that he compartmentalized and is able to handle his emotions, but will cry on camera in front of the world with Charlie Kirk, but not his dad or his kid if they pass.
You don't get your lick back.
This is
4 million views just watching him cry. Not for a family member or a blood relative, but for Charlie Kirk.
For me, you suffer. I think you suffer in silence. That's what I think.
I thought it was meme music at first. I didn't realize this was put up by the Daily Derrick.
Say you had men cry in front of you. That's why you're not with it.
Sometimes I look up videos of like army dads coming home and surprising their kids just because I want to cry, and then I'll watch it and I'll cry. And
I've teared up and cried over stuff like that, but
not in front of those videos.
I don't do that in front of people. Just imagine you going to war, you got the guy on the front line and he crying.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wait a minute, dude. We gonna lose this? Or you like my dude, we would do SWAT hits and some of the dudes, they were tough. They were hard around the edge, man. And you don't see them sweat. And it gives everybody encouragement to be like, man, that's the baddest mother. Then that means I need to be bad.
It's giving gay. Why Charlie Kirk is my wife's ex. What? I gotta be your wife's ex.
You stupid.
Checkmate, motherfucker.
I don't mind that he cries for Kirk. That's not what a problem is. Like, you don't feel safe crying in front of your wife. That's probably the only person I feel safe crying about. That's fine. If you don't, that's okay. Your dad would die, and then you're like, nah, not even he needs to know that I'm strong.
Hey, listen, some of you brothers are not.
Well, Kirk is saying that you a bitch from heaven.
Hey, listen.
By that logic, that's crazy.
Some of you brothers are not beating the Zaddy Kirk allegations. I understand what he was saying in the first clip.
Right, that's exactly what I said. Like the first half of that first clip, if he would have stopped at a certain point and kind of elaborated or expounded on that point of why it's good to regulate your emotions or be able to compartmentalize or share certain things with certain people, cool. But what he went on to say was just asinine.
Where, in this traditional sense, some men feel like they can't afford to be emotional in dark times, because the people who lean on them will feel destabilized. Like I've heard that narrative before. And it's not entirely without merit. Any woman who would judge you because you cried at your father's funeral is probably not someone you want to be married to.
Facts. Yeah, why would you want to be with somebody that you can't be able to process your emotions with or have an emotional moment or cry? If that person cannot be there for you or you're scared of being judged by that person, then you definitely shouldn't be married to them.
Okay, the idea that like most women out there are going to hate on you because you cried at your child's funeral, like I don't know. I think that's pretty stupid. And I think it's without merit. I think it's just like caricature of ladies who like see a man cry and their vaginas dry up like the Sahara Desert.
I do believe there are women that would look at a man who's emotional or shows emotion as being weak or being a pussy or a crybaby or mama's boy, whatever the case. But just don't be with those people. Don't date those people. Don't marry a person like that you have to be the Terminator at all times. There are tons of other women that will be a shoulder to lean on, that can help you process your emotions, that will empathize with you and help you get through tough situations.
I don't think you guys believe it either. I think it's just something they say online to paint the other side as like this, but
I really don't get it. Like, I'm baffled sometimes when I hear you talk about these women that are around you, or it's really just what you see on your algorithm of social media. You need to get out there and touch some grass.
I think it's okay not to cry. No one's saying you have to perform and start doing things on demand because someone died. It's okay not to. I think it's weird to make a rule and tell yourself in the future how you're going to react to the most tragic thing in your life potentially. I'm not going to cry at my wife's funeral because my kids might see it. God forbid your kids see that you're sad. God forbid they see you actually destabilized by the loss of your life partner.
Or imagine how damaging that will be to your kids, that you never show any emotion throughout life when something bad or serious is happening. That will stop them from being able to learn how to deal with and process their emotions.
The few times that I did see my father cry, which is maybe twice in total, there was not a single moment where I thought more of him after the fact. He forgot how to compartmentalize.
You don't get your lick back.
But normally he's very good at putting things in a box and not crying. Normally.
The shirt pull over the face is crazy work.
No, you don't know how you're gonna act, especially when you grieve. You don't know. Maybe you're not gonna cry now.
Yeah.
And then fucking 6 months later at the grocery store, boom.
When a wave of emotion hits me and I'm like having that experience, I'm like, I never had control to begin with. It's a lot easier to get through it.
I honestly think their video about this subject wasn't that bad. It didn't really attack Officer Tatum like it could have, other than playing the White Zaddy song, which is just a hit anyway. They mostly talked about the facts, about how important it was to be able to process emotions, how important it is for kids to see their parents process emotions, and being with someone that can help you process your emotions more than anything else. But of course, Officer Tatum didn't like that video and responded.
I have lost all respect for I've Been Preach after this video. To take a video from 2 years ago to somehow leverage that to make fun of me for crying, tearing up when Charlie Kirk was murdered is insane.
The time gap when those videos were recorded does not matter. This man went on camera, on a podcast, said he doesn't cry in front of his family, wouldn't cry in front of his wife if his own kid died, and he wouldn't even cry at his father's funeral, just to turn around and boo-hoo, cry, crocodile tears, shirt over his face, hyperventilating about a white man who made his whole platform off talking negative about black people. How does that make sense?
For you to be so disgusting, but to try to make a point to bash a person who had an emotional response to his friend getting assassinated in front of the world.
His whole point on the whatever podcast was that real men don't cry. Crying shows weakness. Men shouldn't cry in front of their wives or children, etc. So that point does align to the criticism and why he looks like a clown just to turn around and cry on camera in front of millions of people for Charlie Kirk.
I wasn't just a follower of Charlie. He was a friend of mine. I just seen him not too long before he got killed. Just did an event. We just talked backstage at an event, and you see your friend get murdered on television with blood gushing out his neck. I was at his wedding. I know his wife. I could imagine what that does to his kids. And to try to make fun of somebody for that is the lowest that you can go. This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com, ladies and gentlemen, Black Friday is here. If one of them had lost somebody that they cared about and they teared up on camera, there's no way in the world I'd be making fun of these guys.
But neither of them have ever said that real men shouldn't cry. Neither one of them have ever said that before. He keeps intentionally missing the context of why he's being clowned in the first place.
They're taking a clip from something I said 2 years ago. I believe the same thing today, but something I said a while ago and they put it together.
If he still feels the same way, then what is he crying about? Like, how can he not understand the criticism that he's receiving?
Crying can be viewed as a weakness.
Listen to what he said, that crying could be a weakness. If you're on a battlefield and your first line of command or point guy is crying, what you think that's gonna do to you? And my wife has never seen me cry. I've never cried in front of my wife. And that's where I grew up. You never see me. I never saw my dad cry a day of my life until his father died, until my grandfather died. And my dad was at the funeral. Never seen my dad cry. Never seen my grandmother cry. I saw her cry one time in my life. So this is the perspective that I'm coming from. And then I said, I'll never cry in front of my wife, which I have never cried in front of my wife.
I can say the same thing. The only time I saw my grandfather cry was at my grandmother's funeral. But none of that taught me that crying is soft. Or you can't cry in front of somebody because it makes you look weak. Really, you shouldn't even be with somebody that you can't cry in front of or have an emotional moment in front of without fear of them judging you. If that's the relationship you're in, that's an unhealthy relationship.
I would not want to cry in front of my wife. I will try not to cry in front of my wife. That's what I said. I didn't say I wouldn't cry if my kid died. I said the guy that I admired had said this, that he's not gonna cry at his dad's funeral. He wants to be the strong person, and I admired him saying that. This is what I said.
He's doing a weird like honesty by omission thing. He went on the podcast and basically agreed with the sentiment that he would not cry at his father's funeral because he would want his father to look at him compartmentalizing or not coming to those emotions in front of people as an admirable trait. Now he's saying, well, I didn't say it, somebody else said it, and I was just agreeing with it. It's the same thing.
That's not saying that if the rubber hit the road, you're not gonna cry at your dad's funeral. And I never said that men don't cry. I just said I'm not gonna do it in front of my wife. I go cry on my own, but when stuff hit the road, I need to be strong for my wife.
His whole point on the podcast was agreeing with the sentiment that men crying is perceived as weakness. And then all the examples he gave, whether he said it or not or just agreed with it, was different circumstances that he would not cry in because it did show weakness. And again, him having a full emotional breakdown 2 years later about a white man that died does make it look crazy in retrospect.
And then they take the clip of Charlie Kirk. The moment I found out that my friend was dead, that he had died after I saw him get killed on TV. And I thought about his kids and his wife. And so I just told him, I didn't tell him to cut the feed. But to try to make a joke out of this and to try to act like it's crazy, man. I have cried multiple times because of Charlie's death. The only reason, I could have turned the feed off. The only reason I didn't,
money,
is because I wanted people to understand the raw emotion of what happened with Charlie and that they weren't alone in that.
So he won't cry in front of his wife, but he'll cry in front of a bunch of white people for money.
It's crazy, man, because one day, one of these guys are gonna lose somebody that they care about, and people gonna make fun of them.
No, because they never said real men don't cry, or I wouldn't cry in front of my wife, or I wouldn't cry if my kid died, or I wouldn't cry at my father's funeral. They are not on record, on video, ever saying that, so nobody would make fun of them. And of course, Abba and Preach responded to Tatum's video. So before y'all even say it, yes, this is a reaction of a reaction of a reaction to a reaction. Reactionception, however you want to say it. But this is Abba and Preach's reaction to Tatum.
Sure enough, he found out Charlie Kirk passed and turned on his live stream and decided to drop some tears for everybody.
For the money.
He didn't like that. He was quite upset that we was laughing at that.
But to take a video from 2 years ago, to somehow leverage that to make fun of me.
The point was not, we're not laughing at you because you're the person that you admired died. We laughed at you because of the irony of, okay, you wouldn't cry in front of someone close to you because someone else close to you would die, but someone that is remote, you're gonna cry in front of the whole world. That's the thing that is laughable.
The lowest that you can go. This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com, ladies and gentlemen, black.
Even that threw me off when I was watching Tatum's review at first.
What the hell did I just notice? What happened? What happened? What kind of jump cut was that?
I'm mourning that my nigga buy my sweatpants so you could stay warm in these cold times.
Don't forget to buy these shirts. Don't forget to buy these shirts.
They're taking a clip from something I said 2 years ago.
Why would you use something from 2 years ago? No, he's trying to hint that there's something wrong with doing that.
Which is not 2 years ago. I believe the same thing today, but
so who cares? So who cares if it was 2 years ago, 5 minutes ago, 5 years ago? If you still believe the same thing, that means that video is still relevant today.
The fake outrage. 2 years ago. Why would you use a clip from 2 years ago? I still think that today. Then shut the fuck up.
That made the whole point of the time gap between the videos irrelevant. It was never relevant in the first place. You said something on camera, unless you came out at a later time to say, I no longer think like this or I agree with it. But the simple fact that he reiterated, yeah, I still believe this, I still feel like this. And what's the point of bringing up the time gaps between the videos?
I said, you know, to be fair to him, this video was from 2 years ago. Maybe he changed his opinion. And his dumb ass, no, I didn't change my opinion. I still think this, but how could you? Watch how cowardly he's going to be. He just doesn't want to own what he said.
You say you had men cry in front of you. That's why you're not with him.
Sometimes I look up videos of like army dads coming.
So you heard that? He said to the woman, oh, you saw a man cry in front of you? That's not why you're not with them.
They were trying to say that a man showing emotion was weakness, that a man crying was weakness. So his whole response and fake outrage that he had to Abba and Preach, laughing at him, doesn't make sense because that's literally what he was saying. Just to turn around and cry on camera, crocodile tears, boo-hoo for Charlie Kirk. How do you not see the hypocrisy in that?
Implying that, you know, something is wrong with men crying.
I would never cry in front of my wife.
You see him say could there? And he would say he would never, and he says women judge men for that.
But I admired the guy that said the reasons why he wouldn't cry because he needs to be strong for his father.
I will try not to cry in front of anybody. There's compulsion for me to cry at times, and I will not do it in front of people.
So you think if a man shows his emotion makes him less man?
No, I just think men shouldn't do it.
It is mentally ill to believe it's normal to not cry in front of your wife, but it's normal to cry on the internet. Sorry, that's weird.
Super weird.
Now, I could be generous and say, I agree with the sentiment that during a time of crisis, you know, you guys are in the heat of battle, you guys are dealing with something that's an emergency, that you're going to put aside your emotions to deal with what's in front of you. That's a super normal statement.
The question was, if your kid died, would you cry? And he said he would not cry in front of his wife, which isn't how normal, healthy people grieve. And I would say not being able to grieve with your wife would probably hurt your relationship further because it seems like you don't care.
The problem with a lot of these characters, like Tatum, is that they live in absolutism because they're like doing this like alpha male, very strong man, like super traditional fucking cosplay. And it's just not real. It's not in real life. Police officers deal with situations that are completely crazy. And you see them run off to the corner because something is traumatic and they cry. And if you think that other men are like, we can't do our job because one officer over there is tearing, that's not real. And that's why people are laughing at you. It's because you're trying to uphold this image of men that's not real. Men are human. We deal with stressful situations the way that you were dealing with Charlie Kirk. And sometimes we break down and we can't control it the way you're pretending you can.
Not only that, he was talking like he was a Terminator, basically. Like he just would not cry and it was weakness to cry. And if anybody sees you cry, they won't respect you anymore. And that's not realistic at all, especially not in the real world where people are really going through things.
That's what's absurd. Y'all cry on the internet, but you won't cry in front of your loved ones. And you think that's not mentally unwell. I just think this standard of like, I won't cry in front of the people who've known me my whole life, but I'll cry for strangers.
If you,
my wife will be destabilized because she sees me.
Does Tatum's wife not watch his videos? Because if he won't cry in front of her for a huge loss in the family, but will cry on the internet, she's still seeing him cry over something less meaningful to her. So the respect still goes out the window, the same according to him.
What I understand
Listen,
from this
bud.
is this. You lied. Or you thought you was that one and you're not. Kid would die, you would cry.
You're not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
If you cried for that, you would cry for your family.
This is how you dodge accountability. You frame it against the argument that you think you can win against, which is like moral outrage. So to pretend like people just want to laugh at you because you cried, that's you just being a victim. You enjoy that because it's the one road you can win down. You didn't mention any of the things that we said, which is fine. You just went, oh, can you believe that they laughed at the death of and NASA. NASA is so good to me. And it's funny to me because I grew up in this internet age where I heard how fucking emotional libtards are and everything like that. But you realize like these motherfuckers, they all love to do this victim shit whenever they get criticized.
Conservatives and racists in general love to bully people and call everybody else a victim. But then when it's turned around on them and they're called out and clowned, all of a sudden they're the victims and everybody's being mean to them. It's really fraudulent behavior.
I've never cried in front of my wife.
If she watched your video, she literally saw you cry on video in front of millions of people.
You think that the whole internet saw you, dude? The person that is the most close to you is not gonna see it, but you can expose yourself like an up-and-coming model to everybody else.
I just laughed at how many reactions were on screen. Alba and Preach reacting to Tatum. Tatum reacted to Alba and Preach. Alba and Preach reacted to Tatum, reacted to Alba and Preach, reacted to Tatum, and then me reacted to all of that.
I'm not gonna cry at his funeral.
So as you listen to it, I said I saw a clip of a guy say that I'm not gonna cry at my dad. I didn't say I wasn't gonna cry at my dad's funeral.
Is your wife not going to be at your dad's funeral?
No. You know why?
So he's trying to walk back the statement, right? He's doing this cowardly thing where he's trying to run away from what he said. He's like, no, I never said I wouldn't cry at my dad's funeral. Okay, well, what if your wife's there? What, are you going to run and hide in a corner to cry at your dad's? If you guys aren't aware, so Charlie Kirk was in the hospital after getting shot. People didn't even know if he passed away yet, but he was in critical condition. This man jumped on a live stream to talk about it. Everyone's different. Personally, if my good friend Preach gets shot, I ain't gonna run to you niggas to talk about it. I don't know. I'm not selling t-shirts right after. Everyone's different though. Grieve however you want.
I am. Hey, all right? You get on it.
That is weirdo behavior, right? If you're really somebody's friend and if you find out they've been shot or in critical condition and you hop on live stream or you continue a live stream to cry and have a full breakdown and then monetize that video or don't clip out that part, that is 100% weirdo, manipulative, greedy behavior.
Now he's saying he finds the news out and he starts crying and now he's like, yeah, the reason why I allowed myself to cry on stream is because like I knew people were sad and I knew like right when they all found out, like I found out, they needed to see me tear up. Don't make it this convoluted thing. Don't try to treat yourself like a hero. Yeah. You were human. You found out some bad news. You cried.
That's being generous. I don't think he was human, found out some bad news and cried. I think he knew he could monetize that moment and make a lot of money because a lot of people were agreeing with that emotion and that sentiment, especially as soon as it happened. Simple as that. So all the morals and the strong men don't cry or crying his weakness went out the window when that happened and he realized how much money he could make.
So you want to give that emotion to strangers. You want to make sure that they know that they're not alone, that they're suffering. You understand it.
Thank you.
But not your wife if your child died. A bunch of relatives will be going through it and really grieving and probably need not only a shoulder to cry on, but also somebody to grieve with.
It's your wife who's lost the same child you just lost. You won't cry in front of her. Make that make sense, guys. I'll tell y'all, these people will just rewrite narratives. They'll rewrite reality. They don't care. And they'll just start rolling with the lie and try to have you argue with their lies. What he said is just made up. Nobody laughing at you because you're mourning somebody. I never liked Officer Talman. I know he's getting his checks from Israel and AIPAC, to sell out his own country. So, good for him. But, yeah, dude has always struck me as a bit of a dummy. And this is just...
Well, you just proved it right there.
At the end of the day, Officer Tatum, just like all of these other black conservatives, are clowns who really don't even believe the principles that they preach. Like not crying and showing emotions in front of your wife just to turn around and cry for 4 million people. It's ridiculous. He deserves all the jokes and smoke that he's getting from all directions right now. But shout out to my channel members. I appreciate y'all so much. Thanks for watching. Y'all let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure you check out the next video. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter for behind the scenes and life stuff. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.